This demonstration, we're going to take a look at designing dashboards and connecting up the parts, particularly the web parts that we have available to us off of Performance Point Services 2010. So the first thing I have up here is the Dashboard Designer, which is the easiest way to perform these connections. So what I have down in here is I've got 3 web parts in my dashboard. I have over here on the left, I have a chart, internet sales, and it's an analytic chart. And then in the center, I have a scorecard that I'm going to utilize down here. And over here on the right, I have a filter. You can see the little filter icons as we drop down. Now this web part here is already connected to the filter. See connections, product sub, product sub. And this center web part is not connected. So let's go through and take a look at this. I'll right click and say deploy to SharePoint. And now here's the filter, and here's my scorecard, here's my chart. So if I pull this down and change some values down there, let's add in the breaks, and I'll apply, you'll see the change over here on the left, right? And nothing yet up in here because we're not connected to internet sales. Let's do another change and add everything in there. And again, the chart did the change, but this center web part is not connected. So let's go through, let me close this up here because it irritates me. And let me close that one. And let me drop this on down, switch on over to Dashboard Designer again. And we'll connect it. I want to connect this filter into the scorecard. So I'm going to grab member unique name. I'm connecting in a member, connecting in a member, and then I drag it on over and I'm going to drop it. I'll get this little pop-up, connect to page. As you can see down there, I can row, column, whatever. We'll connect it into the page, member unique name, and I'll say OK. Now we have this connected also, and we'll deploy. By the way, remember the little pencil icon means not save, but that won't hurt us here. We'll deploy it on out, and now you see automatically we have that change up in here, and we come through and clear some of this stuff, and we apply it on out. Now you see we have the connected parts down here. So I have this part, center web part connected, and also this one down in here. We can come through and do another change down there, and you see the different changes as they move on through. All right, that's a very easy way to do it. Now we'll go in, and what I have now is I have SharePoint Designer up and running. And SharePoint Designer, what I've done is I've created a Performance Point scorecard, and I've applied it to this top web zone. And then I've also went in and I added a Performance Point filter. And if you come in and I added a connection, let's go through and take a look at that. I'll say Manage Connections, and we'll modify it just so you can see it. So what I want to do, choose the action Performance Point filter. I want to send values. Performance Point filters are, depending on if you have Service Pack 1 or not, Performance Point filters provide values to other web parts, right? And now I'll come down and I say depending, because with Service Pack 1 you can cascade filters, so they can receive a value from another filter and then pass it on in. So now I'm going to go next, connect to a web part, the only other web part there is, send Performance Point to the scorecard. Sounds fine. Scorecard, get it values, and everything is peachy, and we'll say finish. And that's what we have down in here. And now I'll go in and I'll save it. And we'll preview in browser. All right, this happens all the time. I'm sure there's a fix for it. It's very irritating to me. So, I just kind of ignore it and go through and do it the other way. So what I'm going to do now is fix that. So let's go back in and manage connections. I'm going to select this and I'm going to remove it. And I'll say OK. And now I'll come back in and save. And let's go through and do a deploy again. Quit that. Come on. Just deploy. Preview. There you go. We have this. All right. Lovely. Of course, it's not connected because we deleted the connections. Now apply. This is a different web page that we're looking at, folks, than we looked at in the last one. So that's why you don't see the graph over there on the left. Now let's come in here and we'll edit this. So here we have the page open in Internet Explorer, and I'm over here on the page. I'm going to go into Edit Page. So here I have my scorecard, and down here is my filter. And we'll go in here in the scorecard and pull this down, and we're going to go connections. Oops. Connections, get values from filter. Let this fire on up. We need to create a connection, so I'll say add connection. And we want to get the values of member unique name. Remember, we're bringing this in off of a cube, so it's a member. And now we're going to send that on into the page. And we'll say OK. And let's take another look at that. Down here on this, let's send get values from performance point filter. All right, and here's my existing connection down here that I come on across in here, and I can look at my connection formula, which has nothing. But here's my display conditions. You can see by default I can go in there and select the members that are coming off of this member unique name, default accessories, bikes, etc. And you can change those values. And I'll just say OK, and we're all good to go on that. And then we'll stop editing. And so now we've got bikes and components, and if I come down here and select clothing and drill on down and select apply, as you can see my values have changed. Let's clear this out, clear that out, clear that out, just put in accessories. And you can see accessories, the values have changed. So these are wired together. Now let's switch back over to dashboard to SharePoint Designer. And if I call refresh, I'll be able to see the connection. Now I can go down here and manage connections. Now here's the same connection, but it was created in browser, and that works. So I'm going to cancel out of that. So of the three types that you have available, doing it in SharePoint Designer here has, at least for me, caused many problems. But you can go down and create them very easily in browser and then just bring it on down and keep moving on across. But the easiest way, of course, to do it is over here in Dashboard Designer.